Hello, hello. It's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend. I'm back. It's Sunday, November 19th, 2023. I hope everybody's doing well. I just learned from a TikTok apparently when plants get dry enough, they scream. Like they literally scream. I have made so many of my plants scream in utter sheer agony. It's the worst. Oh. So how is it? Who's here? Say hello. Tell me how you're doing. Um What's new? Hi, Linda. um, I want to share some wisdom and insight that I've gotten through doing readings lately. Hi, Joelle. Um, let's see. I did a reading for a woman who, hi, Lexi. Good to see you. Who, I want to move this just so I don't know why, just for a second. So I did a reading for a woman who she's been my client for a few years now. And y'all know that like, I have my rates where they're at. They're not astronomically high. They're definitely still affordable, but they're not the rates of like, I just feel like getting a reading, they're an investment. You're investing in yourself. But I also, because I don't want to be doing readings for somebody like every week or every 2 weeks. I mean, whatever. I have one client that I see once a month. And it's more once a month, once every 2 months. And it's more for like kind of, she just it's spiritual chat kind of guidance type stuff. It's not as much of a like, oh my God, what's going on in my life? Anyway, so I get to see the progression of people's energy. I don't remember all of your readings always, but when I have, certain clients that I know, that come back. Hi, Lucille. Oh, okay. I'll look for it. So when I have clients that kind of come back sort of regularly, I get to like see how their energy shifts and changes and see how they're doing. I've had clients, honestly, I had one woman who I'd read for her 3 times and the reading was like the exact same thing. And this was several months apart. And in the reading, and you guys, I say this now because it comes up in a lot of my readings where it's like, you have to focus on yourself. You have to work on your self-concept. You need to like be kinder to yourself, have more grace with yourself. It's not about like have more gratitude and get in alignment. It literally is just like, just really pay attention to what your inner dialogue is. And so this woman, when I connected in with her energy, the first thing I felt was like so I do like a little prayer protection. I start getting stuff even before reading sometimes. But I connected in with her reading and I saw like I was in the clouds, like literally in the clouds, but I didn't feel like she was ungrounded or anything and just way out there. It was me. And I was like, oh, you've been astral projecting. And she's like, I have. Hi, Ali. I don't know how you say it, Ali. Lucille, hang on just a second. I'll check. And sorry, hot water. So there was all these things that happened, but I got to like her heart chakra and it was like literally like an open book. And she'd been really working her throat chakra. I was like, oh, you've been doing all this work. And I can see that your like throat chakra's healed. You're really advocating for yourself well and like learning to like stand in your no and a no with like, Joelle, I have your payment. I wonder if she sent it to my other account. Hang on, let me see. And I was just like kind of talking to her. I was like, oh, there's all this work that's happened. So if you're like, I've done all this work, why isn't it kind of showing up? Why aren't things shifting just yet? I was like, it's there. I can see all the changes happening. I can see how you've done the work. So it's not that it's just not showing up just yet in your, in the 3D. It's not showing up in the world around you yet, but the work is there and it's shown. So like, if you're doing that kind of work, if you're doing a lot of self-improvement work, a lot of self-concept work, if you're doing, and it's like, oh, well, people are still showing up in this old way. It's like, don't give up on yourself so quickly. Don't jump off that train of like doing the work because just because it's not showing up out here just yet doesn't mean that it's not really shifting and changing. That's all. Just the pep talk. Hang on. I am getting over, I think, COVID. My daughter had it. She tested positive. I never tested positive, but I had all the signs. I lost my taste and smell for only for a day this time, and I started Alpha Lipo early, and so, um, hang on. That's fine. I don't have a payment yet from Clorinda, Lucille. Can you tell me if did she send it through the link in my email? And it just might not have gone through yet. Um, so just don't give up on yourselves. That's all I'm saying is like sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. So just stay with it. It's kind of like when you start to do, exercise or she said it through okay. So it just hasn't shown up yet in my PayPal, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. Um, okay. Anyway, that's my little story. I had some other really cool readings and some like neat little things that kind of came up. Sorry, just putting this on. My lips are really dry. Hi, Julia. Hello, hello. And I got to, see a client that I hadn't seen in a while. And so that was kind of exciting. I like following up with you guys. I like to see like how you're doing. Even when we were talking about some stuff, I was like, even if you never come get a reading and just tell me how you're doing, like tell me how this like went. I root for all of you to do well. I get excited when things are going well for you. And I even worry a little bit. Okay, so let's not too much because I, like I know that you're all capable, amazing, mostly women, and some of you are men, but most of my clients are women. Okay, so Linda, I have you up first, and then I have Devry and Joelle. I don't have Clorinda's yet. Can you, Luce? She's double checking her email. Okay. Just see if she got if she got like a confirmation in her PayPal that she paid me or something like that. There should be like within her wallet activity stuff. Let's see. So after Linda and Devry, I have Joelle. And Linda just wants a regular general reading. And Devry, I might have to have you type a little bit of your question only because it's hard. I see that you wrote a message, but when I do it in the app, it's hard for me to see the whole thing. Like it doesn't show all of it. It ends at after the part that I missed. I'm just telling you so you can type it in if you're here, Devry. And please like and hit that button. I'm just learning, not just learning this part, but I'm just trying to remind you guys that it's like that does help because nobody sees me anymore. You did a reading with me a while back, and I was in the thick of it back with my situation, and you said that I would eventually see my worth and feel like, thank God that it didn't work out. And bingo, I'm at yay! I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're at that stage because isn't it so good to get to that stage? Because it sucks to be in the other part of it. It sucks. So like when all of you are like I know what it is to be in those stages. Like I'm never like, can't you? I've seen readers be like, just get over it and get back. And it's like, no, because it sucks to be there. Like, let's have a little bit of empathy for people. It's, you know what though? I want to put this on you. Okay. So I did this little TikTok video about healers, right? So I hate that term healer, like, oh, you're a healer. Like, number one, therapists get it, nurses get it, readers and things like that get it. But like people in the world of who are assisters of people, get this like thing hoisted on them like they're supposed to be a healer, and then you feel like it's your responsibility to fix people, right? And what I said on this thing was like my job as a nurse was never to actually heal anybody. Like I would give medication or I would do wound care, but I was giving tools that would assist But at the end of the day, it was up to the body to do the healing and the work. Just like when I give you messages and give you information and things that I'm seeing, I'm not really doing the work. I'm not healing you. At the end of the day, it is your choice to like go and heal yourself. So it's like time doesn't really heal. It is your choices to set the intention to make the changes, to do the work through it. Does sometimes it take longer than other things? Yeah. But like you don't sit down at a piano and you're not a concert pianist day one. Like, I mean, I went ice skating with my daughter. Like I have a fifth grader and a first grader. Also have an older daughter, but she didn't want to go ice skating. So my two little ones really like it. So I took them and I invited a whole bunch of their friends to come along. And one of the friends was not, my daughters have only gone, like one of them has gone 3 times and the other one's 2 times. Like this was her second time. And this was like the other little girl was her second time. So I was like, oh, we got to tighten your skates more. I've gone less than a handful of times. I just tend to notice that like if my skates aren't tight enough, then I can't stand up. So I was like, oh, let's tighten up your skates around your ankles so it's easier to skate. And I was scooting along with her because the other kids were kind of zooming past. And I just said, like whenever we do anything, I go, we all kind of suck at it at first. Like you just suck at it before you get better. And the more you practice, the better you get. That's just what it is. And that's the same thing when you're going through and shifting your belief systems. And that's the same thing when you're healing from crappy behavior. So, okay, Dune, I'll check it out. So, be proud of yourself. And it's okay to like pat yourself on the back. Like I've done the work and I love that I'm in a place where I feel so much better about myself because I see that that wasn't what I wanted. And nobody does that work for you except for you. There's nobody outside of you that can tell you how wonderful you are. Like you have to recognize that yourself. I mean, it's nice when people say it, but you don't really take that in unless you already know it yourself, right? Okay. So, Dune, I gotcha. Okay. So, okay. All right. So hit the like button, that little thumbs up. All right, Linda, what do you need to know today? I still feel like your energy is really tight and you're holding on because even though I'm like, okay, I need to breathe deep, I feel like everything's really kind of like I still feel like I'm holding my breath. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of checking in with the things that you've asked in the past to see where you're at and see if we can get better insight on that. Because I do feel like you've been intentionally trying to like find places to um, not control your stress level, but sort of release it. I don't know what the symbolism of a fern is or even like what that means. Um, but I just saw a fern like leaf. So I feel like you are making a little bit of a dent in your mom's apartment by the way of cleaning it, but it still feels like so overwhelming. Um, I do feel like they've run into a little bit of a setback with that. Like maybe finding a little bit of an infestation you didn't expect. Um, I feel like this feeling of like it's skeeving me out a little bit. Like it hasn't traveled into yours. I feel like it's maintained and stayed where it's at. Hi, Nicole. I know a little bit about the Diddy thing. I'll talk about that in a minute. Not that I'm like a big celebrity reader because I don't know, but I'll talk about whatever I get on that because um so okay, so it's like a feeling of like almost wanting to give up a little bit, but it's like it's a lot. You've got so much on your shoulders right now. I'm sorry about all the sniffling. I heard he's coming to help, so I don't know if your brother, if you plan for him to come down, like, this weekend or within, I feel fairly soon, coming to help you kinda take care of it all, and I do feel like you're gonna make a big turnover when he's here, so it's gonna be a little feel a little bit more, manageable. And I feel like over the next month, so it's gonna be a lot more manageable. So I would say, like, by the first of the year, it's gonna feel like, "Okay, I could do that, I got over that." Um, it's the same feeling that I get where I'm like, I it's like the dreading, and then once you finally do it, it's such a relief. Um, I actually try to ask him about stuff with your boss and, like, what's happening with that, and I feel like it's okay. It's back to status quo. I feel like he accepted the apology, ended okay. And then they're telling me now with you, now that I've gotten through all that, they're like, "You have to take care of yourself." And it's not about, um, when I first started this journey, I think I was just a little bit younger and naive, and, I thought self-care meant, like, doing the pampering stuff and, like, and it is that, like, um, and I've started doing some of those, like, extra things lately. It is that, but it really is the self-care stuff of, like, having grace and compassion, not being so, hard on yourself about the talking, not, how you talk to yourself, not being so hard on yourself for letting it get that bad kind of thing. I think, when your mom was there, it was really just, uh I don't feel like you walked on eggshells, but I just feel like it was like, again, just doing what you could to survive in the relationship with her, um, because you didn't want to hurt her. I do feel like some paperwork's gonna come in before December regarding your mom's estate and all of that, and I do feel somewhat relieved. Uh, so I feel like, it's not gonna be like a windfall of cash, but it's also gonna not be the hit that you expected it to be. I don't know if any of this resonates. You feel so lonely since my oh, once a month, but it's so overwhelming. Yeah. I'm being shown a cat. Do you have a cat or sending you so much love? And I know you were going through a lot. Oh, no cat. So you might be getting one because I saw a cat coming in. So I don't, I know that's weird, but the cat distribution system. You ever watch those videos or like the cat distribution system found you? And it's like this random cat like randomly walks up to this person, or some guy was like, I was hiking and this little tiny kitten just found me. It's like followed me the whole way. There might be, it's mostly like white with some orange on it, little patchy, little patches. Um, did your mom like it? Oh, so I'm drinking lemon water right now. It's hot lemon water. Um, but I almost just got this feeling of like drinking like simmering orange peels and like cinnamon, and I don't know if it's, oh, what's it called? Anise? But it's a feeling of drinking that. Does that resonate at all? Yes, but I have a bird, so a cat would not be good. It could be. Weirder animals have gotten along. We have in my zoo around the corner from my house, like literally, like we live around the corner from a zoo, and it's like, and there's a cheetah, I think it is, or jaguar. I don't know, some big cat that has like a dog. Like it's support animal. It's its emotional support animal. They live together. They hang out all day together. Um, the orange star anise sounds lovely. Okay, so I don't know why, but maybe that's something you need to be doing for yourself. There's also like, when they talk about simmering pots, there's a little bit of witchcraft with that, right? It does a little bit of healing and brings in good energy. And okay, I'm going to share this with you. This came up with a client of mine she's a therapist, and we were talking about, because this is like one of those needs of like, I feel like I really want to help these people and I don't feel like I'm doing enough. And like, these are people with a lot of stuff going on. And I was telling her, like, when I was a nurse, my job wasn't to always just totally heal people and fix all of the problems in their family and their life. And because everything just was like, a lot was going on for a lot of them. It was a matter of like, they want to have control back. So it's like, how do you allow somebody to have control in a situation that feels totally chaotic? So instead of thinking, I have to get this entire apartment cleaned up, I have to get all of this work done, this is all on me, and I'm lonely, and I'm depressed, and this, it's like, I'm going to go just get the edges one day. Like, just decide I'm going to pick up one bag full of trash or pack up one little thing here and there. You don't have to get rid of all of your mom's things. That's not it. And it's a lot to do in one setting. So for anybody who's not aware, her mom had a bit of a collector's, we'll say that. I always think that sounds nicer than hoarding, right? Collecting, just a collector. And even when I was like, teach my kids to like, how do you pick stuff out? It's like, you haven't touched it in a year. It's probably not important for you to keep, even if it's cute and wonderful and lovely. And like, pick the things that it may mean that you need to have somebody come and help you. But for anything, it's like, do it for yourself, not because of pressure or not because, but just because it'll make you feel a little better. Your mom didn't really care about all that stuff because I need to rent it out. Right. I know that. But here's the thing. If you're shaming yourself and telling yourself, I should, I have to, it paralyzes you. It paralyzes you. So it's this feeling of like, the way they're saying is like, give yourself grace through this. It's like, I'm grieving and it's okay. So instead of feeling like I have to do all of it right now, get into the momentum of it, right? So it's like, I'm going to just go up and pick up one bag of things. And then sometimes you're like, oh, I could keep going and I could do a little bit more, and just like keep going until you're like, okay, I'm done for today. Instead of like, I have to do all of this stuff, all of it right now. It's like, just let the momentum take you. Because the idea that like, I'm looking at this room and I'm like, oh, I've got to like all these things I have to do and organize. I've got like wreaths sitting out and things that I need to put together before I put back so that I don't put them together broken and stuff, that things that popped off and everything else. But like, I could sit there and go, I have to get it all done today. But the reality is like, the way my brain works is it starts to shut down. So if I just go, I'm just going to go do this X, Y, and Z right now, then I'm like, oh, I could also do X, Y, and Z too. And like, just kind of keep going so then I get done more than I would have gotten done had I just shamed myself into it. So they're sort of just talking about giving yourself grace through this. Like, give yourself some, be the friend that you would be to somebody else, So like today when we hang up here, just go, I'm just going to take one bag up there for garbage, or always have some bags up there and be like, I'm just going to fill up one bag, because the only way you're going to get it done is a little bit at a time. I mean, that's like the reality of it, is like, you can't shove a whole piece of cake in your mouth and eat it all at once. A, it's not enjoyable. B, you'll probably throw up from doing it. It doesn't fit, like all of that stuff, right? So like, why would you expect to clean an entire room in a day? It's too much. It's not, like, it's miserable for everybody. And allow yourself to grieve while you're doing it. So you cry when you go up there. That's healing. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not a mess. You're not a terrible person. You're not a loser. Like, whatever, any like things that you think of as like, why am I not strong enough to get through this? Well, like, because nobody would be. So give yourself grace through all of that. Maybe that's why I rambled off that story about how we talk to ourselves and all of that. But I know that you have the pressure for the taxes and all this stuff, but I see it might even be by Christmas time, but I'm giving that extra because, the holidays and stuff, but I see you painting. I see you doing the stuff. So I do see you getting it done. And I also feel like it's going to be like more manageable than you realize. So maybe even watch some videos on hacks of like inexpensive upgrades for that, like meaning like inexpensive flips or inexpensive turnarounds of an apartment or something like that. When you see like, I saw this woman change her apartment in New York City by like she bought some flooring and like kind of lined it up and stuff. But it just feels like there's an inexpensive way to make it look nicer and feel okay. All right. All right. I'm gonna move on because I feel like I'm rambling. Unless you want a clarity or you're like that wasn't good enough, Anna. Like, come on. And maybe the cat coming in is like a cat that just visits you on your deck. Like that might be what it is. It doesn't have to be your pet. Okay. Um, let's see. Devry, can you just write your question from after, like, I basically got to the part where it says something about his 25th birthday, and I'll reread that. But if you can write from that point on what you wanted to know, that would be great. Hi, Clarenda. You did. Angela, I have your payment. Can you, which, the PayPal that you paid, Clarenda, was it a butterfly or was it my face? Will I hear from Dustin before his 25th, or will I not hear from him at all? I'm tired of worrying about him. That's what, so I can move on or think about him anymore. Yeah, that's what I was asking her though, because I had checked that one and I didn't see any. Sorry, that's annoying, isn't it? I didn't see any payment there, and I hate the way this is set up now. They changed. I don't have a payment in my personal one, so I don't see your payment. Okay. All right, let me focus on Devry. So my feeling is that like I feel like a wall. I can't get into his energy or connect with it. Um, but it's like a weird feeling of like you're gonna go totally no contact, like not even trying to reach him or anything else like that, and just be done with it. And like I feel like he will peek back in, but again, it's one of those of like, no, like is that it's the energy. So it's like I do feel like in like 2 weeks or so, he might like try and text you or something else, but I don't feel like you're really in the mood for it by then. And that's okay. Like I think our goal, I say our as in a collective our, like don't we want somebody who's emotionally available and mature enough to say like, I need my space or like have that conversation and be respectful. Even if things don't work out, you can still be respectful. But I don't see it going anywhere. Is he a little bit younger than you? Also, from what I remember of men in their 20s, they're not that good in running on my name. Sorry. You're sending it to the butterfly. Okay, that's my old one. Okay, I got it now. Okay. So it's not that like I feel like it's like the only thing I get out of his energy is this feeling of like he thinks he's more than he is. Like he does not live up to his visual he has in his head at all. And then it's a feeling of like, don't let somebody like that make you question your own self-worth. I know you want to ask something else about this, so go ahead and do that. Getting more contact from the other two exes than him. So I'm going to ask it to you this way, because I know it's like, I'm not getting like, this kind of goes along with the self-concept thing, but it's also like, what would you tell a friend? Like if I was like, hey, Devery, like Sam, not married and I'm like in the dating world, or I was like, oh, this guy's like just totally ghosted me. Would you be like, definitely pine for him? Definitely wait around for him. Like, definitely wait and see what happens. So what do they say? He's all talk and no game. Is that? I also got to tell you this. It's not even just like, even like on a physical aspect. I feel like oh, you didn't, Joel, you're fine. I feel like he doesn't have a vision or a plan for his life. And I feel like you're thinking long term, and it's not about like, oh, I just want to get married or I just want to be in a partner. Like you are like strategizing and figuring things out. And I feel like that's not who he is. And that will frustrate you long term. I had another client who I did a reading for, and she was asking about a man, and it was really interesting because I was like, "Do you really want to know the truth?" She's like, "Yeah." I go, "Well, he's a good guy." I was like, "But you can never live with him." And like she's further along in life, so it's not like a big deal to hear that. Like you could never live with him, but like this guy is like somebody you could not live with him long term. It's just a feeling of like keep moving on. Don't um I even feel like with the two exes like that are talking to you, it's like, is it silly to say Tweedledee and Tweedledum? Like I just feel like they're not up to your standards. They're trying. I do feel like a third person will come in from the past. And I feel like he's softened a bit and been humbled a bit so that he feels like he's a little bit more it might even be as an apology, like I don't know if it's like a 12-step thing, but like how they say like to make amends, that might even be how he steps back in. I don't know that that's a long-term relationship, but I just feel like another person's going to come in. me see who I've got here. Joelle. I think it was Lucinda. Okay. I'm going to start on Joelle's and then let me know what you think. So I have so many questions, I guess, a general reading. I keep seeing an image of a wolf. Like I see him like in two different forms. I see him full face straight on looking at me with his like those like yellowy piercing eyes, and then like a profile of him looking out. And it's a feeling of like this is an energy that's around you. Like not like you have an actual wolf, but like a spirit animal type thing. And not to like steal from Native American, but I do feel like certain energies will give us certain messages. So let me see what that is for the wolf, because I don't know, but I just keep seeing that around you. Generally, the wolf spirit symbolizes education, intelligence, strong family ties, and loyalty. Listening to your intuition, seeking freedom, embracing aloneness and togetherness, being loyal and trusting, and having courage and determinations to walk. Keeps going here. So mine felt more like this idea of like, if you think about how wolf packs move, like the strongest one doesn't lead the pack. The strongest one actually follows the pack up to make sure that the weakest can go. So it's like that idea of like, maybe you feel like you're following all the time and you're trying to keep up with others, but that doesn't make you not a leader. I also feel like this is going to be a symbolism for you of like looking for validation. Not that you should be wearing a wolf pack shirt or anything, but I'll sell you a t-shirt with wolf pack on it if you want. And they're also kind of saying like, you're not behind. You're not behind anything. We get sold an idea that we're supposed to be in a certain place or a certain way, have certain feelings, or there's a rush, but like you're not behind on anything. They're sort of talking about like maybe owning the affirmation, I am magical, and peace is within, because perhaps you don't believe that you're magical. Maybe there's that like that feeling of feeling kind of ordinary, and there's there's nothing special about me. Like they're like sort of saying like you're magical. And when you stand in that power and own that, it allows your energy to sort of relax a little bit, and it allows you to take those steps forward. And it doesn't mean that like, oh, you become famous and the most amazing thing ever. It's like, that's not necessarily what it's about, but it's allowing yourself then the freedom to move and experience this world. And I feel like almost like frozen and bound by beliefs that weren't my own. Did mom have some like pain here? This is my right side. It's kind of like where your appendix is, but like just above your hip bone and in between your rib. I'm short waisted, so there's not much of length from there, but that's kind of what I feel. Yeah, your mom. This is my right side, just like kind of right here. And also nausea, by the way. I just almost felt like it was her giving this message. And so then I started to feel that. So what kind of cancer does she have? Would it affected like this is my right abdominal area, right? And it could be considered your ascending colon, could be considered your right ovary, um, your appendix area. Your ovary, okay. Or did she have a lot of nausea? Because I even got this image of like a lot of throwing up. I feel like you witnessed a lot of that with her. The way she's making me feel is like you saw that. It's sort of like, please don't let that be a memory of yours or a fear. So I feel like a lot of this message is coming from her. Okay. All right. Dune, what's your question? Unless you want, if there's something specific, guys, just ask it. Because otherwise, sometimes some of these, I feel like I'm always like, I don't know, is that enough? Is that like, is that good? I think my father suffers some dementia. Oh, my siblings and I have distanced ourselves from him, and I don't know what to do. So what do you want me to tell you? Like, what I mean, like, what's your question? What's his first name? Sorry, I'm still so congested. And to what you asked, I already had contact with Miles, and he's a selfish douchebag. Sorry, Jealous, he is still a selfish user, and Brandon doesn't know what he says. So none of them are good for me. For sure. Devery, listen, I'm always one to say, like, I always think it's those tarot readings when they do general readings, they're like, there's somebody from your past is coming back. I'm like, no, you don't want anybody from your past. Like, don't let them back in. Leave them in the past. Like, you don't want that. Like, you left them in the past because you grew past it. You grew beyond them anyway. Like, you did some healing work. You were like, this isn't good enough. But okay, so I still feel like there's someone coming in that I don't feel like you get together with them. It's just a feeling of like they're trying to make amends, like they're trying to apologize for their behavior. Okay, sorry. Now I need to focus on Doom. Okay, he's alone. Amin is his name. Uh, so I don't see direct connection to him. I don't see like your siblings going in. I see a social worker because I see I don't know if that's the equivalent of what that is, but it's like a caseworker or somebody who goes in to help with it. So maybe it means calling the authorities, that the proper channels. I don't know what it is in your country, and like doing a well check on him or saying your concerns, but saying we are no contact and it's not really. And could someone check on him and see and sort of take it from there? there are like I know there's like child family services that takes care of him. I do feel like there's some issue. I feel like he might have fallen and hit his face because I keep seeing like a bruise or something here on his cheek. Um, there is some confusion, but I'm also kind of wondering if there's a bit of drinking too. So, do you know if he has an alcohol issue? Sure. So I don't know if this is like full dementia. I feel confusion, right? So I mean, it could be from the diabetes too, because it's just like a feeling of something I'm doing is causing this. So I literally heard pickled his brain. That's why I was like, does he drink? Because that's what I think of when I think of somebody pickling their brain. Um, but diabetes can cause, you know, cognition issues as well. But because it feels like something I'm doing that's creating this, and diabetes would do that, right? That's through your own, not taking care of yourself, not eating well, not exercising, all that stuff. And blood sugar issues can cause you to get angry and stuff too. Um, Again, so I feel like it's going to be a social worker that steps in to help figure that out. I don't necessarily feel like it's you guys. So I don't, again, it would be like maybe it just needs a call to figure out and say, you have concerns. He lived abroad for 10 years and when he came back, the society is different now. So I can't tell you that, like, I just don't see, I don't see like you and your siblings stepping in. It seems like it feels like an outside party, a third party. Again, like a social worker. I don't know what the equivalent is in your country, but it's like a caseworker or a social worker who steps in to kind of sort of help out, check on him, and make sure he's okay. Um, Maybe it's someone who helps him navigate to get to, a dietitian or somebody, a nephrologist to help with his kidney stuff, as does diabetes. Is that a nephrologist that would do that? So it's, I will never say like, oh, you have to help and take care of people because if you have gone to the extremes of needing to cut ties with a family member or with an old friend or whatever, like it's got to be pretty bad for you to get to that point. Like the whether it's like, there's always like some people say like, well, it's always two ways. It's like sometimes it's not, but if it's got to be kind of extreme behavior, right? So I'm never going to be like, oh, you should feel guilty, and no, and um, it just feels like a third party steps in, but I feel like the most that you would be doing is calling and saying like, I am estranged from my father. I am concerned about these behaviors. Could someone do a check on him? It's not healthy for me to be in contact with him. He's abusive, blah, 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 blah. They understand that. You want him to live abroad. Fair enough. I have family members that I never want to live near again. So it's okay. Like that distance is necessary, and that's okay. Because there are people who do not respect boundaries, and distance is very important. Okay. His cultural background is not here. Yeah. But here's the thing, you can want that, you can need that. I don't see it happening. The fact of the matter is he is where he is. So the most I see happening on your end is like you do you have one brother and one sister? 4 brothers and 3 sisters. Is there one brother and one sister that's closer to the area where you're living? Or are you only in contact with one brother and one sister? Because I see one brother and one sister that are specific. I do feel like maybe it might even be one of your sisters that does the intervention, not with your father, but like calling and saying, like, here's the situation. One contact. Yeah. So it may be like one of those people that does the contact you, but it feels like a sister, a female that does it. That says like, hey, that's a big family, by the way. That's a like a lot. I also feel like you need to remind yourself that you're not a bad person because you're not willing and or able to step in and take care of him or communicate with him. I don't feel like I keep asking about like sundowners. Is he having sundowners? Like when you say he's angry, I'm like, I don't feel like it's that, which dementia people with dementia often get, where they just get a little quirky, sometimes angry when the sun goes down for a few hours, and then they settle down and they're okay. They're just, can be kind of ornery at times. Um, I don't feel like it's that. I would lean more towards it being a blood sugar issue. So it might be that he gets in contact with it. Yeah. Just don't feel guilty about it. Hi, Nella. Okay, I'll check. All right. So, Lucinda, do you want to ask your question? You're welcome, June. Hang in there. I got your payment, Nella. Hi, Regine. So, I mean, that's the thing is like, so even one of the clients I've had reading for lately, and it's like a grandfather of hers who she didn't want to connect with stepped through, and he started kind of talking about his childhood, and I was like, so she's like, oh, I didn't even think of him, and I was like, that's okay. I was like, sometimes they just want to like take ownership of their behavior and show how stuff passed down generationally and why maybe the trauma that you went through due to these issues with your parent were sort of like direct connection obviously from this person, and um so I mean oftentimes when people have coping issues and emotional issues and all kinds of stuff, it's like that comes from somewhere. um so there's no judgment of mine in being like, what, like, I when I was before I understood it and kind of did my own work on like dealing with my own stuff. I didn't have that depth of perception to see that it comes from somewhere. It's not, and not, we're victim they are. It's just, but and we are also responsible to do the work on the inside and do that healing so that we don't, so that we inflict as little damage as possible on those at times. I'm also hopeful that I'm, and Sure they're going to be in therapy for some reason or another that I've messed up because, relationships do that. Okay. Lucinda, I put Lucinda in. Is that Clorinda? Is that for you? Because Lucinda had said you paid for a question for her. I don't know. So you're now, right now. Okay, so did Lucinda want to have a question, or I didn't know who you paid for a question for. Did you pay for it for yourself, or did you pay for it for Lucinda? Whatever that agreement was between the two of you, figure it out. Because and I'll just check the other PayPal really quick. Oh, okay. Here, we're looking for confirmation on when we should actually close on our property with the attorney. I'm like, wait, an astrology person would be better on that, right? Oh, wait, I did combine your names. It's Lucille and I put Lucille. That's really funny. Okay. Okay. Well, look at the way our brains work. Okay, so Lucille. Okay. The 27th is coming up for a date. Is that a date that's like during the week? I don't know. I know Thursday is the 23rd. 27th is a Monday. So that seems really early, right? The 27th? What's the moon doing then? It just feels quick, like quick. Does the 27th mean anything? Would that even make sense to be that quickly? Oh, it's like not, it's a week from tomorrow. And it's a new moon that day. New beginnings. That could be the sign of when the buyer signs to purchase. So it feels like that I'm getting the 27th. So I'm going to just say that would actually be, that's like, if you look at moon cycles, that's a new moon, new phase, new moon. Don't you just sign it all on the same day? The state approval to amend the map. I don't feel like that's that far out. Like, I feel like that happens very quickly. Like it doesn't feel that far out at this point. You may even hear about that this week. Have you heard anything about that part? Like how soon it might be? Because I feel like it might be even Wednesday. Like it might be this week, which is weird because it's right. There's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then it's holiday. I don't feel like it's that far out. Like even in my mind, I keep going, what about around Christmas? Like, and it's like, no, I keep feeling the 27th feels. It's been with the state for 30 days. So you might get it this week. I don't know how long the state takes. I don't know all the like, so I don't know any of that. Um, but you might get it this week and then sign on the 27th, which is Monday, a week from tomorrow. It's like I feel like it's like feels all right now to me. Um, let me look at um no, I feel like she's a little bit later. Like maybe a week or two later because I feel like it needs to be I don't know if there needs to be like painting. There needs to be something settled for her first. Like it's not quite ready for her to move in, or you want to do the work before she moves in. It's something like that. And you need to do a little bit of like um, repairs or something, and it's just easier to wait till after before she's in. And it feels like minor stuff, but it just feels like not wanting to inconvenience her or have her deal with something like the smell of paint or workmen or something like that. Okay. Happy Thanksgiving. I was like saying to my kids and my husband, I was like, I got to figure out what we're doing for Thanksgiving, like our meal. I was like, maybe I'll pick some really absurd, weird things and nobody will eat it. Just kidding. We have texture sensitivity issues, smell issues. So I'll make like probably 15 kinds of potatoes to meet everybody's needs. Okay, Angela, you're up, and Regine, and then Nella. And hello, welcome whoever's here. Because I know there's more here than people who are chatting. I had a lot going on and just need to know if there's anything you need to know. Okay. I always think when people, because I did this too, where it was like, secretly I want them to tell me about X, Y, and Z. It's like, just ask me about X, Y, and Z. Okay. So I saw you as like a little character with like those like little, I don't know if it's a sailor hat. It's like almost like a triangle shaped. Like think Benjamin Franklin type hat. So I don't know what that significance is. So I'm just telling you that's what I saw. And then I see this like line around you, and it's like this invisible line of protection. And it's also sort of like an invisible barrier. I do, and a feeling like being a little bit of on an island too. Um, and they said that this sense of isolating yourself or feeling like you're isolated and abandoned is self-imposed. I do see that like sort of they're showing me like a ripping or a breaking free from this. And like the illusion being dropped kind of feeling. Because even when I see the water, it looks like when you look at, do you remember old TV screens? I don't know how old you are. This would be when they were like analog TV screens, and they were like, you could see like little not the fuzziness, but you would see like these like little ripply lines in the TV. It's like that. That's what I'm seeing as like the water. It looks more like that than like water. Um, they're showing me like making the decision to sort of step out of that imposed area. Do you have an issue? Like this is my right shoulder, my right, you could say over even where my right pectoral muscle connects into the shoulder area. I just because I'm doing this and that's a weird thing and I don't normally do that, so I'm paying attention to it. I also felt like this like feeling of like extreme anxiety and like figuring out how to get a hold of it because I feel like it's been kind of bad lately. And they're showing me, so a lot of things come through symbolically. So if it's like weird, you're like, why would those show it you that way? It's just to get me to a feeling to know how to verbalize it. Um, like almost like dinosaur type energy. So weird. But it's not like, oh, you're an old dinosaur, but it's like the techniques and the ways that I'm using to cope through things are old. They're old, they're outdated, and they're no longer serving me. And so it's sort of like you're trying to muscle through everything that you're going through and you're trying to do it all by yourself. And they're sort of like, it's time to like kind of set that down and reach out for help. Um, so maybe that means therapy. Maybe that means a life coach. Maybe that means just going to a family member and or a friend and saying like, I need support and creating community around you. But it's like, they're sort of like, it's time to stop trying to do it all on your own. And it's not like, "Oh, I want you to rescue me and save me," but it's like, "I just don't wanna feel so alone," and recognizing that, like, just talking to somebody sometimes, just getting it off your chest is enough to help you move forward and move through that, like, paralysis fear type stage, and also, um, receiving sort of wisdom and insight. Here's the thing, you don't just because you go to somebody and they give you this thing and they're like, "Well, maybe, blah, blah, blah." Sometimes we need somebody as a sounding board or to hear what they're saying, not because we need their wisdom and insight, but because we need to hear it outside of our head to trust our own intuition about something. So I have pissed off a lot of people, to be quite honest, when I've like been like, "Hey, like I'm just bouncing this off your head." And they're like, "Well, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Oh no, yeah, I don't do that." They're like, "Why do you ask me?" I'm like, "Because I need to hear something outside of my head to like know to like also hear my own intuition, if that makes sense." So it's it's not that you always have to go to somebody's advice. Hang on. I don't know if any of this resonates or make any sense, but it's just but it's like it's time to create community. And there's no shame in asking for help. I also it's like a feeling of like I'm not enough, or I'm not strong enough, I'm a failure if I ask for help, but also feeling like I've asked for help or community in the past. I feel really connected to mom on this one and kind of bit me in the butt. I feel like your energy is so tight in your sacral and root chakra. Um, so I don't know if you suffer from really bad periods, but this is like one way it manifests energetically. Because when we have dis-ease and your root chakra and your sacral chakra are your like connected to your sexual energy, it's also connected to your money and your sense of um, stability. Um, it just feels like I'm squeezing and I'm squeezing and squeezing to hold on to try and maintain this instead of sort of relaxing. I heard something really cool. Like, so there's something called what's it called? The invisible string theory. My mom passed away 3 months ago. Siri, stop listening. I said theory, not Siri. Sorry. Um, Hang on. My mom passed away 3 months ago, and I've been dealing with all of that, and it's still taking care of myself and being a mom. Yeah, and that's a lot. So here's the thing. Just to talk to that, and then I want to talk about the invisible string theory. Um, Something I've had to learn to do in order to give myself room is not hold on to this idea of like all the things I have to do as a mom to be a good mom, to be a good, like a good whatever person. And like if I don't live up to those expectations, these like ideas, then somehow I'm failing. And so you're grieving. So it doesn't all have to be done. And then there was a really great podcast, a Mel Robbins podcast that I listened to a month or two ago. And it was, she had a therapist on and they were talking about like, kind of like the stages of cleaning and things like that and organizing in your house. And it's like, she's like, it's not like done or not done. It's like in a stage of the cycle. So it's like, don't feel like my house isn't perfectly clean, so I'm failing, or this isn't perfectly done, so I'm failing. It's like, no, you're just in the phase of it, in the cycle of it, sort of like giving yourself, again, give yourself grace, give yourself room to be human and not perfect, because perfection is just a moment. There's never, perfection does not last. It is literally fleeting. The string theory, not like the string theory as in physics, but the invisible string theory as in relationships. So I just like kind of came across this and I was like, oh, what is this? And I started like seeing all these posts then about it, like going down that rabbit hole of posts and people saying like all these ones where it was relationships, where it was like, oh, like even Elise Myers has one. She's like has several million followers on TikTok, and she's just like very cute, very sweet, normal, like a bit chaotic at times, but like in a funny, irreverent way. And she, it's so cute. But she was like, she'll be like, look at, that's my husband in the background of this picture, da, 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 but I didn't even know him and I didn't even meet him until I got back here, blah, blah, blah. Like, so it started this idea of like, and all these people were showing these things of like, they didn't know their husband's in the background of a picture, or they're in the background of a picture of their husband's picture. And they have like how there was all these times that they were sort of around each other, but they didn't meet. And my TV just, or my computer just did a weird thing. How they were like around each other, or somehow they were in each other's orbit, but they never met until it was like the perfect time. So it's this idea of, why am I telling you this? I don't remember why I'm telling you this. Someone needs to hear it. I don't know. This idea of like letting go of having it, like forcing things to happen and just needing to like relax a little bit, that it's all going to come together exactly when it's supposed to. And you just like have a sense of knowing of like, it'll happen. And I'm just going to trust that every step that I takes me towards that, even if the path seems off. But I don't know why I'm telling you that. I don't remember what I was talking about that brought me to that. Sorry. That's what happens in readings, by the way. Like, I'm like, I know I'm supposed to tell you this, but now I can't connect back to the psychic part of it, of why I said that. So I don't know. Sorry. You're welcome. Sorry. Oh, fart, man. That stinks. Okay. It's for you. Oh, maybe, but there's some connection to it for Angela. Look, I oftentimes think the message is for the person I'm giving it to, but and I think and is such a better word than and, but, or, like it's so inclusive, right? And it's meant to be heard by the others here too. I don't feel like the gift, I don't remember what the gift was. I don't remember that reading part of it, but I do, what I'm asking is that gift, like, it's like, I don't feel like that's what's coming in March, but it's not a this or that, it's a this and that. So it's something else. And there's also somebody coming in. I actually feel like I would not be surprised if whoever comes into your life is connected to the land that you bought somehow. So maybe it's a contractor, maybe it's a surveyor. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a connection there. Again, though, I love that idea of the string thing, because there's somebody who's been in my orbit in different ways. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what's up with that. And I feel like, well, like It'll happen eventually, like, right? That connection and understanding it will happen eventually. And but it can even be like less about romance. It can even be about like when you're trying to make a connection for like a business connection or a friendship connection or whatever. You're like, oh, I really, want to be friends with that person, but like it's not like nothing. It's like just trust that it'll all work itself out. Even when you're doing manifestation for whatever it is that you want in your life, it's like sort of just really trusting that it's like I don't have to force this to happen. I can just decide like that's going to be mine. And I know a lot of people have a hard time with manifesting, especially with like all the terrible things that are going on in the world. Um, or like that we manifest our own lives and it's like, but why did all this trauma and these terrible things happen? It's like, you didn't create those. When you don't understand about it, you can't create it. They're just things that happen. And then at some point, we're hopefully all able to somehow take control a little bit more. If anything, even just on how we treat ourselves and our belief systems. Okay. All right. Nella, what's your question? And then Nicole, I'll answer your question. Are you here? Still here, Nella? You see my relationships, the issues getting better. Can you tell me what your partner's name is? I can tell you that I feel like a lot of what's going on right now is you waking up and taking like more of a stand in your own power and valuing yourself more. And so it's like in that stage of, I almost feel like I'm balancing on something. Um, like in an obstacle course where I'm like, I'm balancing on a pillar and everything's like nothing behind me. And I'm trying to like get to that next thing and make that person meet me there. Um, no judgment against Michaels, but Michaels are a tough crowd. I haven't met a non-difficult Michael. I gotta be honest. They are strong personalities. I'll say that. Um, sorry, I just had stuff in my pocket and I'm trying to find a different lip thing that's maybe a little bit more moisturizing. Okay, so will it get better? I'm not saying that it can't. So I want to say that. So when we do readings, right, I'm reading the energy of where you're at right now and where you're at right now as a couple and as a partner. I don't foresee it. I see you continuing to grow and heal yourself and him standing firm and locked in who he is, meaning you're growing like this and like so, right? You're kind of going off in that direction and he's just staying straight. Um, and I keep hearing like it's a choice, like it's a choice for him. And it's really hard when we're in a space where we're wanting to learn and grow and heal, and the other person is just stuck in the mud because we think, well, I love them. Don't they love me? And they love you to the capacity that they're capable of. So it's not like, oh, you're not lovable. It's just like, it's what they're capable of. And sometimes, unfortunately, that's not enough. Um, because they're, and it feels this way a little bit with him, it's scarier to look within for him and do that work, to take accountability. I mean, he's right. That's how I feel like he's always like, well, I'm right. I'm just right. Does this make sense? Um, Like he's trying to logic everything, logic your feelings, logic the responses. And it's like, I also feel like there's a lot of like when he's confronted, responding back with a question rather than just like responding to what you're saying. Rather than when he's doing all of this weird behavior, reactive behavior, it feels like rather than trying to get him to see your way and trying to be in the emotions of it, maybe just sit back and watch the patterns of it and just start noticing patterns and behavior. It's not to say that it's not hurtful or it's not inappropriate, but when you can sort of remove your emotional fire from it and just be like, that's not cool. Like, it's like when you just ask a question and they project a whole bunch of crap on you instead of just answering the question and trying to make you feel bad for asking a question that's like a very benign question. When you start seeing that, it's like, oh, that's like not normal. Like, yeah. So I feel like grandmother energy here, like holding you and kind of rocking you. See, I'm like rocking this way, like with her arms around you and rocking you. She called you baby girl. That's all right, baby girl. Did she call herself grandmama? She's with you. She has kind of a funny spirit. Like she'd be like, let's just like put this in his soup. Like fix that right up. Mama Jewel. I don't think she went around poisoning people, but I just like she'd have some funny sense of humor. Like, uh, she loves you very much, and you need to know that you are not alone. She loves you very, very, very much. Okay. So this is again, I always go back to go work on your self concept. And what does that mean? Pay attention to what follows I am. Don't even jokingly say something negative about yourself. Your subconscious believes all of that stuff. Why do you think we are so hard on ourselves? We're like, oh, we're so terrible. Why? Because somewhere, somebody said something and it's stuck in our subconscious that must be truth. My oh, Clara, I think you're so good. Free reading shirt off. Man, this is such a channel for you. Oh, bye, Clara. Um, also, harassment. Okay. Okay. There we go. You can have a random question, Deborah. That's fine. I mean, y'all, you see the readers that'll wear like, little tiny tanks and kind of like little, and I don't care, whatever, but that's just not me. Well, like never. I always dress very, like pretty conservatively. Like, I don't judge anybody for doing that. Like sometimes I'm like, if I had great boobs like that, I'd be doing that too. But like, it's just not me. It's not me. I've always been kind of like, um, I don't know, maybe it's self conscious, but just also, that's just not how I dress. It is not. I was never a get drunk and like show my boobies to people person. I was get drunk and say weird things people person, like not weird, bold statements, but not. I would do, I don't know. Yeah. Not the shirt off kind of girl. Sorry. And it's for few people only. Okay. Just because. It's not like I don't wear a bathing suit but it's like just, that's appropriate. And the rest of it, I'm like, oh, no, I'm professional. Which for me means a little bit more covered. Okay. So, Nicole, did you still want to know about Diddy? And then Devery, ask your random question. Nicole, are you still here? And then ask me what you wanted to know about that. Otherwise, I'm going to give my voice a rest. I don't know if there's a delay, so I'm just like staring off into La La Land. Devery, what's your random question? And Nicole, if you're still here, do you want to ask the Diddy question? Do I see anything major happening for you in the new year? I don't feel like you're not going to feel like this is major, but I just feel like it's an energetic shift around the end of January to February, and just feeling like I feel like sunshine coming in and like just sort of like a weight lifting. But I don't know that you're going to feel like that's like in your mind when I say that to you. I don't feel like that's major. But I feel like from the spiritual side, like that side, that it is a big deal. Like I don't see winning the lottery or massive windfalls of cash or anything like that. Or, but I just feel like an energetic shift that like allows the sunshine in kind of feeling a lighter energy. Nicole, are you still here? Who's here? Regine and Devery and Nella. And then I have a couple other people here. So I guess Nicole, if you're not here, I'm not gonna answer the Diddy question because I don't know what you want to know about it. Do I think he's a creepy scumbag? Yes. Do I think he's borderline psychopath? Yeah. Oh, okay. So I think this is just like not even, I don't even feel like this is psychic at this point. So he settled very quickly with that woman, um, like super quickly. Now I know they say that doesn't mean admission of guilt, but he fucking did it. Um, just like videos I've seen of him, like the way he looked at her when there's just looks and certain things where it puts up a lot of red flags. There's just energetically about him, I feel like. Uh, he's just not a good person. Uh, like metaphorically speaking, and it's not the first person he's treated that way. Metaphorically speaking, um, he's hidden a lot of bodies. Is this the feeling I get? I mean, maybe he actually has too, but he's got his hand in a lot of stuff that is not good. Um, yeah, he's like not a good person at all. It literally is feeling like yeah. I think he's, I I think there's several people he's had a hand in or connected to making an early exit. I think there's several people. It doesn't feel like just one person. So I don't know all the details and stuff like that, and it's just a feeling of like, I don't know that a lot more people will come after him, but I feel like she had enough credible information and, uh, he's in behind her back, behind all this, he's calling it extortion. Um, Everybody pays the piper eventually. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, everybody pays eventually, one way or another. Like, everybody's truth is revealed. I don't know that he'll be arrested. I don't see that at all. But, the power that he once wielded will not be his anymore. What's interesting is, like, I'm seeing Harvey Weinstein, it's like, "Oh, well, Harvey Weinstein got arrested," but it's like, there's other people that should have gone down with him that didn't, and I don't know what that means because I don't know enough about all of that. I didn't watch all of that because once a scumbag, always a scumbag kinda thing, like that man, but, like, with Diddy, like, his energy is m like, more along the lines of, like, criminal behavior, like Al Capone kind of energy. I don't know who Young Miami is. Is that like a business partner or is that a relationship? That's what I just don't know. I don't know who Young Miami is, so I don't even know, like, what am I looking at that as like a oh, she dates him, okay. So the feeling I got is not so much about money, it's more about, when someone dates somebody that's unstable and unwell, they're attracted to whatever that reflects back to them about, right? So, like, it's not so much about the money, it's a weird dynamic, right? And sort of also having a not great self-concept, and then just accepting, and there's a naivete on her part, right? Just because somebody is beautiful and really successful, or famous or whatever, does not mean that they are balanced or well in all areas. Um, what's it? What's his name? Who's Rashida Jones? Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones, like famous, like he's so incredibly talented and successful, right? If you watch his, there's a Netflix documentary on him, and he even says it, and he's like, they're like, what can you not do? And he's like, relationships. So it's sort of this like, even some of the most beautiful women get into these relationships with these abusive men because they don't believe they're worthy or valuable. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I heard on Taylor Swift and Kelsey, and this was like a long time ago. Um, I feel like they would do really well together, but I heard they'll do well together, but he needs to be concerned about CTE, the traumatic, chronic, what is it? Encephalopathy, something like that. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, something like that. So if one of them were ever to watch this, I would say look into your alpha lipoic acid because it's really great for regenerating and healing and things like that. And then lion's mane mushrooms and things like that to work with the brain. um, I I Like, so even if they're a PR couple, I guess like that's like a thing that they have, even if that were the case, they have a really good energy for each other. Um, and he's someone who lifts her up a little bit more. No, Kanye will never get the help that he needs mentally. Mm-mm. No. Number one, I think that our mental health system is drastically archaic and behind. And I have a lot of therapists as clients, so it's not like I'm like just talking out of my butt, like thinking it's like I talk to them and they're like, yeah, like I don't feel like I'm really helping people. Um, is as advanced as our medical system is, it's just really not great too in many aspects, and really looking at nutrition and different things that help our brain and our health state. Kanye is a smart person, but he's also not fully grounded, and he also has a like a there is one thing about being self-confident and having a good self-concept and being completely on the other end of like narcissistic behavior. um and he's like in that grandiose way, right? I'm not a doctor, I can't diagnose it, but just some of the things he's saying says are very grandiose. uh you guys can ask those questions, I don't mind. I don't It's like I just I don't mind answering those kind of questions for y'all. I'll do those for free, I don't care. I just can't like, so you see other readers where they're like, um, I sat with this and I went on this. I don't get a lot of like, I'm not confident in doing it and asking, but if somebody else asks the question, then I don't like, I get more stuff. I don't know any way to explain it. It just doesn't work well where I'm like, let me just tap into this energy. Cause I think cause I just don't really care about it. um, I find it interesting. I like following some of the stuff just cause I find it interesting. But I find people interesting and fascinating and behavioral stuff interesting, but I don't like, but when somebody else asks it, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll get that seriously. I don't know, whatever. Okay. Who's the person, Jeffrey who? What's the first and last name? Do you know? I've stopped following politics because I'm so incredibly, it doesn't mean I don't vote. I just, I don't agree with a lot of shit that our government does. Like, how do you lose billions of dollars and just like not know where it went? Like money that could go towards a healthcare, a single payer healthcare system for the United States. How do you lose all of that money? And we have all of these um, homeless people. How do you lose all of that money? And yet inflation is insane, and that's all just through greed. How do you lose all of that money? And we could be setting up better roadways and setting up, better systems to help combat climate issues. Like there's just so much. And like, why are we funding wars and killing people? Like, why are we funding other people's healthcare systems, but we're not funding our own? Like, there's just so much I'm just not happy about. And it's not just the Republicans. It's not. Okay, sorry. Hakeem Jeffries. Okay. Um, um, I feel like Hakeem will eventually get in, but I feel like it's very constrictive and like a like I'm just wedged in there. So it's like it feels like a very like narrow margin that he gets pushed in there. There's someone I think, like, if you're interested in all the political stuff, there's an astrologer. She's on TikTok, but I think she's also on here, and she has a podcast. Her thing is called The Awake Space. Her podcast is called The Awake Space, and she talks a lot about, she's like, Trump is not getting in. I've looked at his chart, blah, 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 blah. And she's been right about so many things that it's like, and she specifically focuses on like a lot of the political stuff and finance stuff. So she's really somebody good to follow if you're looking at that for like a backup on it. I think more stuff is going to come out, and she talks a lot about Trump stuff too. More stuff is going to come out about him. Like, we're going to find more. He's not getting out of all of this stuff. It's going to come to him one way or another. Like, I saw it just served up as a tidal wave to him. I do feel like he has gut issues right now as it is. I do feel like there's some cardiac issues, maybe even congestive heart failure at a point. If he's not type 2 diabetes, he's so borderline of it, because I think that's part of why he's having the mental health issues. He's just also not the brightest star in the sky. And a lot of people who like aren't that smart, like, go around talking about how smart they are and like how dumb everybody else is. Okay. I don't feel like he's going to have, he has a lot of health issues going on. I don't feel like he's going to have something that like prevents him from having stuff, but I feel like he's going to feign or work something in to be like a mentally incapacitated type thing. Aliens? Oh yeah, but they're like already here. Like, they've been here. And like the idea, like, the government's still been working with them. I've told you this, I felt this, and I felt them energetically in DC when I drove through. And that was, I think the last time I was there, it was, God, it's been a long time, at least 7 years ago. Yeah, we will. I keep thinking like, gosh, like, there's this idea out there that like, if we knew everything about them, then religions would just be destroyed. And I'm like, come destroy them, because they are not doing anything good for this planet. Every war that has been fought in the name of religion has been like the worst thing ever. Like, the extremism is just, we need to be taxing religions, like so many things. I do feel like they will, but it's like literally going to just be drips of it here and there. And like the other thing, like with the government monitoring and stuff like that, I think there's like old stuff way like where it's been released that they were doing things where they were like, what is it? Not astral traveling. That's not the terminology. But it's like monitoring from a distance, like where you like can visualize and see things. But it's not called astral traveling. It's called something else. Like, they still do that. They say that they've stopped. They haven't stopped. After the child, is she pregnant? I didn't think she was pregnant. But eventually, yeah, we will see aliens. I don't think it's going to be like, oh my God. I think it'll. But I still feel like that's a little further out. Sorry. Is she pregnant? I don't know. I didn't hear that she was. I don't think she is. Yeah, I don't think she's pregnant. I don't think they're going to have a kid together. I don't think they'll be together long term. Maybe another year or two. They got together so young. Like, so young. There's a picture of him where he's wearing like She's like dressed up in this red, like fancy dress. She's going to an event. Um, I don't think she's going to have a baby. Not with him. She's dressed up and he's wearing like sweats, shorts, and like a t-shirt, like a little hoodie. And he's like, all like angry. And I just thought he's like this petulant child who was like throwing a tantrum that he had to go. I'd go to this event with my mommy. Like he was just like such a fucking man baby there. That was like him trying to prove a point. And she was like, I fucking support you. Get your shit together. Let's go. I don't give a shit how you dress. Like that was like they, whatever. I don't think they'll be together more than a year or two. I would be surprised. I mean, Gaza, work out. So I've said this before. I said in the very beginning that we will be on the wrong side of this. I am not against Jewish people. I am against the ethnic cleansing that is happening in Gaza. I am not saying that Hamas is wonderful. I am saying that there are a lot of innocent people that are getting destroyed. Israel has already come out and admitted that their helicopters are the ones that shot down people in that concert. There is going to be more devastation and loss. Do I think it's going to be World War III? No. And it's interesting. The reason why I don't think that it is because there is so many people protesting it that the other parts of the world, especially like the Arab world, are kind of like sitting back and like, they're like, it's the idea of like, we don't have to go do all of this because people are starting to see and have a different view, like the propaganda is not working kind of thing. So it works out for everybody I don't know any other way to say it. I don't know that it's Biden that starts helping. I gotta be honest with you. And I said this years ago, like in 2016, that my feeling with all of that is 2024 starts the groundbreaking of changing things like that. But 2028 is the big year where there's a big, heavy, more women and more changes, and where they really start to work on a single payer healthcare system, and changing the way everything is. And a lot of that comes down to, and it's not like, oh, the younger generations are going to save us. 'Cause I think, boy, that's a heap of responsibility to hoist onto other people. But it is that more people from the younger generations are able to vote. More people who have grown up only knowing, drills for an attacker in their school, only knowing what that is to live in fear and no longer wanting to that. 2026 feels like there's going to be a development in more laws for gun control. A woman president, I feel like I'm seeing 2026, but I also feel like there are going to be 2 women in the White House in 2028. So I just heard, now we're going back to the old ways, and I also feel like a comeuppance for those that are corrupt. And that's on both sides. That's not just a one-sided thing. So there is going to be a big upheaval in the way our government is run. Changes, rollbacks of abilities to accept money through lobbying and things like that. So I hope I'm right. But I did say, like, how many years ago where I was like, I see Trump with handcuffs and I see him standing in front of a podium and getting walked away. And I couldn't tell if it was Secret Service or FBI. I don't know who those people are that, or CIA, whatever. I don't know who those people are that do that. But So I saw that a long time ago, and I still see that. I don't see that changing. So for the LGBTQ community, I do feel like, so even for, I want to say this, even for everybody, I feel like things will get better, but we really start seeing that huge shift happening like 2028, 2020, 30. Yes, it's still a far ways away, but 5 years isn't much, right? It doesn't mean nothing happens until then. It just feels like that's where things are really shifting. Like that's where you're going to see bigger changes. And years ago, I said, if you've watched me for a while, things have to get worse before they get better. Why? Think about how many people have to get really, really effing sick before they go to the doctor. Right? How many people have to get really sick to do that? So it is just that. All right. So I do feel like it gets better. I feel like, as the boomer generation and silent generation, because there are still people from the silent generation alive and well, as they start to make their exit stage left on this planet, more and more people we become more progressive and more unified. And reparations, I do feel like eventually will be coming. I said, I think years ago, like maybe 2026, we start to see some reparations. I'm still hopeful for that, though it just feels a bit dismal right now. I said years and years and years ago that, I would say like so I'm from Texas, right, originally, and family lives in San Antonio, blah, blah, blah. And I would say like you would hear all these stories, especially as a kid, we'd hear about people getting kidnapped in Mexico and all that stuff. And I just remember saying like, yeah, Mexico's corrupt, but like we're way more corrupt than them. We're just better at hiding it. And I just think we're not really that good at hiding it anymore. I think social media changes that. The ability to have knowledge and wisdom and research anything at your fingertips because of the internet has stopped us from seeing us as, so wonderful. Anything on R. Kelly besides that he's a total disgusting piece of crap? Like, I think he will probably die in jail. So, all right. Okay, I'm going to say goodnight. So I have to go get some little girls bathed and ready for bed and eating dinner and all that good stuff. So I will see y'all next week. If you don't follow me on TikTok, follow me on TikTok. Follow me on some of my other platforms too. I'm making plans to like be more active and try and get my name out there, build a business, all that good stuff. So I will see y'all. Deborah, thank you for asking all those questions. Cause again, I'm like, oh, it's just easier to answer them for you than for me. Cause for me, I don't always get the answers or I'm not certain of it. But when somebody else asks it, I'm like, oh, Liz, I can do this for you. Okay. Have a good night.